Hi everyone, I'm Patty Van Cleve from the Chester County Economic Development Council. Welcome to the 20th anniversary video series. Today's presentation features Sikorsky, one of our premier sponsors. Rebecca, let's go ahead and get started.
Good morning and welcome to Sikorsky Aircraft's GETT 20th anniversary presentation. We are so excited to have all of you with us today, and all the women that have put this presentation together and who are going to talk to you today are super excited to be able to be here. Although it's virtually, we hope you really enjoy what we've put together for you, and we really hope we'll get to do it in person next year because we really miss all of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce ourselves very briefly, kind of explain what we do at Sikorsky COATESVILLE, our backgrounds, and then we're going to give you a virtual tour. And we're also going to give you a quiz at the end, and you're going to have an opportunity to win some swag from Sikorsky Lockheed Martin. So we're super excited to have you. And we really hope you learn something and get inspired to maybe take up a career in aviation. My name is Rebecca Grilli. I am a structural engineering manager at our facility, and I also have the authority from the FAA as an ODA unit member to sign off modifications of the aircraft on their behalf. Work life, I've been at Sikorsky COATESVILLE since March 2003, so I just passed my 18th year, and I have both my degrees in aerospace engineering from the University of Maryland. I was born and raised in Chester County. I've lived here all my life, except when I was in Maryland going to school. I live with my husband, daughter, 2 dogs, 1 cat, 1 guinea pig, and some fish in Westchester Borough. We love music, cooking, hiking, and traveling. Some of my favorite adventures have been to Iceland, where we got to snorkel at Silfra, which is where the North American and European tectonic plates are separating. And we also got to go to Mexico and climb the Mayan pyramid at Coba. Some of my hobbies outside of work include interior design, building things, woodworking. Love to cook with my family. My husband's a chef, so we're always making lots of food. Hiking with the family and puppies, and when COVID's over, going to music festivals and concerts. Next up, Stephanie's going to tell you a little bit about herself.
Thank you, Rebecca. My name is Stephanie Hicks, and I am an industrial engineer at Sikorsky. What do I do all day? I play with data. For example, how many hours do the technicians charge to the aircraft? Are they over or under budget? My background is I was born and raised in Louisiana, and I identify as hard of hearing. I received my first set of hearing aids when I was 4 years old, after a doctor told my parents that something wasn't right while at a Christmas party. Since then, I have broken 2 hearing aids. I've also spent 14 years in speech therapy in a mainstream school. Growing up, I never had any friends with my disability until I went to college 1,500 miles away in Rochester, New York, at RIT NTID. NTID is home to the National Technological Institute for the Deaf. Yes, my hearing is severe enough for me to qualify. Once I graduated, I married my college sweetheart who has normal hearing, and I have 2 wonderful kids who have no hearing disabilities either. Speaking of kids, one of them is home with me right now due to the COVID pandemic. We also moved to this area due to jobs, and we haven't left. Next, Cassandra will introduce herself.
Thank you, Stephanie. Hi, my name is Cassandra Lam, and I am a structural engineer here. I started in 2000 and just celebrated my 20th year this past October. Prior to that, I was with another company for 3 years working on flight simulators. I have a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from Binghamton, New York, and a master's degree in mechanical engineering from University of Arizona. I was born in Hong Kong and came to America in 1980. Grew up in Queens, New York, and I've been here in Chester County for 25 years. Met my husband in college at Binghamton University, and together we have 1 daughter and identical twin boys. Some of my favorites are helicopters, especially Sikorsky S-76s. I love to travel. I've been to Italy, Hong Kong, San Diego, and Mexico with my family, and we also enjoy RV trips. especially the big Class A RVs. We've done 3 so far, been to Bar Harbor in Maine, Niagara Falls in Canada, and Pine Creek Gorge in Pennsylvania. I also enjoy kayaking, biking, and hiking in my spare time. A little trivia about me is I love pandas. The giant panda and the red pandas are both my favorites. I've seen them in China, Hong Kong, Washington, D.C., and San Diego. And here there's a picture of us photoshopped with pandas from the San Diego Zoo. Next up is Devika to tell you a brief introduction about herself.
Thank you, Cassandra. Hello, everyone. My name is Devika Mangaroo. I am an avionics technician lead currently working for the 148 program, which is the only military aircraft we currently modify at this location. I joined Sikorsky in 2012, and during this time, I have been able to work on all 3 of the aircraft we currently build and modify here at this location. Before this, I was in the military working on Apache helicopters, basically flying tanks as we sometimes call them. I was born on the island of Trinidad, which is one of 2 islands known as Trinidad and Tobago. I am a parent to 2 very adorable fur babies, Bella and Shadow, both of whom have mastered the look of "I'm too cute and I do nothing wrong." I have traveled to 7 countries, with favorites being England and Ireland, and enjoy lots of Italian food. My hobbies include traveling, reading, and when I have the time, hiking. Thank you, and here is Alyssa to introduce herself.
Thanks, Devika. Hello, everyone. My name is Alyssa Levan, and I am an industrial engineer. I am mainly responsible for the planning of the aircraft here in Coatesville. I manage the operation hours for each area and look at the forecast hours for the next coming years. I also run the commercial quoting and estimating for all new commercial aircraft. I've worked my entire career here in Coatesville, and this is my 6th job with Sikorsky. I've been in material logistics, demand planning, and program operations. Working for Sikorsky and Lockheed allows you to always find something new and exciting to do. I originally went to school for interior design and received my degree from Indiana University of Pennsylvania, also known as IUP. But as I worked for Sikorsky, I really loved what I did and went back to school for my MBA from Florida Tech. I am also PMP certified, which stands for Project Management Professional. I'm originally from New Jersey and moved to Pennsylvania during middle school. I currently live on an old farm with my husband, 2.5-year-old son, 18 sheep, and 3 chickens. One of my favorite things to do is travel. My favorite has been Australia and New Zealand, and I've traveled there twice, once as a student ambassador and again for my honeymoon. I also really love pizza and wish I could have it every day. In my time outside of work, I've been working up to run a half marathon in October and recently did a 10K in April. Welcome to the virtual tour of Sikorsky Coatesville, a Lockheed Martin company. Due to the nature of our business and security, we are unable to give you any live video, but we have some great pictures and a video clip to share with you today. Our Coatesville site started as Keystone Helicopter and was acquired by Sikorsky in 2005. Sikorsky has a long history of aviation as it was founded by Igor Sikorsky in 1925. In 2015, Lockheed Martin acquired Sikorsky. After our Sikorsky acquisition, our facility began on improvements with state-of-the-art equipment and workshops to become what we call the Heliplex. The Heliplex is about 235,000 square feet and houses all the equipment, workshops, and support staff we need to build a fully customized aircraft and host our customers in world-class fashion. Here at Coatesville, we produce the commercial aircraft product line, the S-76, S-92, CH-148, and support the S-70I. There are over 300 S-92s and 875 S-76s delivered around the world today. You may even catch a glimpse of one of the aircraft in some Hollywood movies. Cassandra will now take you into more detail about each area within the Heliplex.
Thanks, Alyssa. I get to tell you about Coatesville capabilities. Here in Coatesville, we wear many hats. We have production, where we assemble the base aircraft. The aircraft frames are joined together, and various avionics systems are installed and tested before the aircraft flies. We have completions, where we customize the individual aircraft. You have a selection of offshore oil, search and rescue or utility, VIP or executive configuration, or even EMS, emergency services. Based on these configurations, you can select the number of seats, type of seats. You can have side-facing troop seats, leather interior seat, or even a day couch in an S92. You can choose a drink cabinet, TV, SATCOM phone, or even a restroom. Then you can select how your helicopter is painted with the paint scheme. Next, we have MRO, maintenance, repair, and overhaul. Here, you can bring your helicopter back for maintenance, inspections, repairs, and even upgrades. We also have a customer delivery center of excellence, where we present the customer their finished helicopter and they can bring it home. We have aircraft delivered in over 40 countries. Final assembly. This is the hangar where our aircraft frames are joined together and avionics systems like the gearbox are installed and tested before the aircraft is sent to completions. All the aircraft you see here are known as green base models. You will see that they are mostly green from the primer before they get their paint colors. In this main pictures, these are the different sections of the S-92 helicopter, and they're manufactured from different parts of the world. For example, the cockpit is made from Taiwan from a company called AIDC, and the cabin is made from India from a company called Tata, and the aft transition tail cone is made from Spain from a company named Aeronova. On the bottom left-hand corner, you can see that the helicopter's together and there's a platform next to it set up so that you can access to the top to install the main gearbox. And on the bottom right-hand corner, you can see a fully assembled green S-92 flying. Now, how long does it take to assemble an S-92A? Well, it takes 5,600 hours or about 60 days to assemble an S-92. This number of hours is approximately 3.8 school years for one student. And for an S-76D, which is a smaller helicopter, it takes about 2,000 hours or about 30 days to put one together. Now, check out one of our cool video on one of our larger helicopters, the S-92.
Each will be more challenging than the last, pushing both the crew and the machine to the limit. Cougar's helicopter is a true legend of the skies. It is the civilian cousin of the famous military Black Hawk. Crammed under its lightweight skin, close to 1 million components make this chopper unbeatable. Twin jet engines create 5,000 horsepower, blasting out gas as hot as molten lava. High-strength composite rotor blades can lift 12 tons of chopper with ease. Crash-proof tanks hold enough fuel for 600 miles. A heat-sensing camera spots targets in total darkness. And a super-strong winch can lift 1/4 of a ton. Jam-packed with high-tech, this is the ultimate rescue machine. In just 20 minutes, the crew has prepped the helicopter to take to the skies for the first trial. At the controls is pilot Pat Perry, a veteran with 30 years in search and rescue.
We all set? Everything is up and running.
15 minutes after the emergency call-out, this megacopter is airborne. The crew manages to shave 5 minutes off their average time for the startup phase of their mission.
Completions. Completions is mostly where customizations are done. After an aircraft leaves final assembly and has completed flight testing, it is then transferred to Completion Center for further modifications specific to the customer needs. An aircraft is first stripped of its panels, seats, and floors to better accommodate the additional systems being added. Some options that the Completion Center performs include adding an additional fuel tank, exterior cameras, flotation equipment, toilets, flat screens, daybeds, recliners, and even wireless internet. On basic bills, a 76D can seat up to 9 persons, whereas the 92 can seat up to 19. After modifications, these varies to a lesser number. A little known fact, a 76 build can take 6 to 10 months depending on configuration, while a 92 build can take 5 to 14 months depending on configuration. Upholstery and interior shop. All aircraft interiors are fabricated or customized to the customer's specifications. In our commercial line, especially the VIP helicopters, each are unique. Most of the customization for the VIPs is done by hand, from the seat density to all the interior finishes, including carpets, lighting, and veneers. The engineering team makes the customer's design vision a reality. All seats are made from the frame up, cushion buildup for different heights and densities. VIP customers receive handcrafted, leather upholstered swivel seats along with carpeted flooring. Also, ceiling and sidewalls of the interior cabin and flight deck area are covered to match the engineering design plan. Harness shop. In the harness shop, we typically build wire bundles. Other times, we build avionics boxes and panels, which are then installed onto the aircraft. We utilize a wiring board, which honestly looks like a giant puzzle board, as you can see on the slide. It simulates the aircraft interior to accurately build and design the harness to easily integrate with the existing wire harnesses already on the aircraft. Paint. An aircraft exterior paint scheme is what makes it stand out the most. Paint schemes are designed in-house by our designers and are approved by both the engineer and the customer. All paints are customer specific, but only high-end aviation paint is utilized. Once in the paint booth, an aircraft is masked, sanded, and primed. This then allows for it to be painted and clear-coated with a high UV protection. This process can take up to 20 days depending on the size and scope of work.
Thanks, Devika. As we've explained to you before, there are several different types of configurations that we build in the completion center. One of those is called an offshore oil, and an offshore oil are used to basically take rig workers to and from the rigs. And in the lower left, you'll see a picture of one of our aircraft landing on an oil rig down in the Louisiana Gulf area. So what happens is the workers work on the rigs for a few days at a time, and then they go back to the mainland. So they're going back and forth. So this configuration is pretty basic. They're probably on the aircraft for a few hours at most, depending on where the rig is. You can see there's this configuration. There's normally 19 seats. These blue lights are called heels. So if there was an emergency and the aircraft had to land on the water, they would see where the windows were. They automatically light up and they would be able to see where the windows and the exits are. They have, just like in an airline, they have air reading Gasper lights above their heads, speaker jacks, and just really basic configuration for them to get to and from work. The second most popular type of aircraft that we build in the completion center is a VIP configuration. Now this is a picture of an S-92, which is the larger aircraft that we build. So we've built head of state aircraft from many different countries and really rich people as well. So this shows you just a glimpse of an interior where this is an area where you have some like some aides where they would sit, and you can see on the far right there's a VIP area where they have club chairs. And then you can see above, everything is going to be probably gold plated for the gaspers. Cabinetry is custom made out of slabs of wood. The customer gets to choose all of the leathers, all of the fabrics, all of the wood grains, and they customize the entire interior that we build. So these pictures show the inside of a VIP configured S-76 aircraft, which is the smaller aircraft. These aircraft are actually very popular with executives. They are really quiet. You can have a conversation in the cockpit without using headsets due to some noise acoustic technology that we've employed. And just like the 92, the customer is going to choose all of their configurations. They can have different seating configurations, different credenzas. You'll see here they have we call a full height credenza in the 76, a coffee carafe, a phone, drawers that are going to have storage. They choose the wood grains, the leather. They choose the stitching, the way that the seats are stitched, which is all custom done in our upholstery shop that you saw earlier in the presentation. And carpet, they choose everything, and it's a really great aircraft for VIP configurations. Once the aircraft are completed in the completion center, then they get transferred to the flight delivery center, which Stephanie's going to tell you about now.
Thank you, Rebecca. All aircraft will go to the Flight Delivery Center twice during its lifespan in the COATESVILLE facility. The first time will be after the final assembly, where we will install the blades, weigh the aircraft, test it, and do first flights. The second time will be after the completions, where all the new designs were added to the aircraft. For the completions, we will still install the blades, weigh the aircraft, test, do ground run, and do new design certification. The new designs will be tested by the engineers to make sure that the vibrations are not too vigorous and to make sure that everything works according to the plan. Lastly, the aircraft will fly off. After this, it'll be ready for customer presentation. In case you were wondering about safety, the COATESVILLE site has an on-site fire department. They are available at all times when workers are on site. They are present and on the flight ramp in full gear during all initial startups. When they're not on the flight line, they are training employees in CPR and first aid, as well as taking on many other responsibilities and duties revolving around the safety of the site. Sikorsky has a world-class facility for the customers. The duration of their visits vary from one day to multiple visits for weeks at a time, depending on who is coming. Prior to the visit, the aircraft are thoroughly cleaned and prepared for customer inspection, and ultimately, the final delivery of an aircraft. The delivery ceremony is held in the Flight Delivery Center. While some ceremonies are simple with just a podium and a few representatives, others are on a grander scale. How would you like to accept a $40 million helicopter? You betcha. We will be pulling out the red carpet, the flash photography, and the really nice chairs. Next up is Cassandra with a really cool story of a COATESVILLE-made helicopter.
That's right, Stephanie. North Slope Borough purchased an S-92 helicopter from us, also known as an SB. They're located above the Arctic Circle and experiences some of the harshest cold weather conditions in the world, with temperatures as low as negative 55 degrees Celsius with the wind chill, covering about 95,000 square miles across northern Alaska. The helicopter's job is search and rescue and to respond to aeromedical evacuation. And in this case, you can see that it's rescuing a polar bear.
Thanks, Cassandra. Now we've talked about all the different types of aircraft that we build, and one of my favorites is the emergency medical services aircraft, or we call them EMS. And there's pictures here of two of my personal favorites. The first on the left is the first medical interiors we did for the D model, and we built them for Arkansas Children's Hospital. They're called Angel One, and these aircraft are performing life-saving missions for children in Arkansas, which is amazing. And the aircraft on the right is actually an older C model that we built many years ago in Coatesville for a hospital up in Boston. And you can see this paint job is super cool because it's got the skyline of Boston on it. And I love this picture because they're on the deck of the hospital on the top of the building, and you can see the skyline in the background, which I think is amazing. And these aircraft are saving lives every single day, and that's one of the things that makes all of our jobs super special. So we really hope you enjoyed the tour, the virtual tour of our facility and what we all do. And we're gonna open it up to some questions. Okay, so the first question is, how does a helicopter hover? So the answer to this is the rotor blades are actual wings. And as a plane needs to generate lift by moving forward, the lift is created on the helicopter blades by them spinning. So that's what's creating the velocity, which creates the different airflow and creates lift on the helicopter. And the reason it can hover is because the amount of lift generated by those rotor blades is equal to the weight of the aircraft. Now, the 92 behind me in this picture, this Coast Guard aircraft, it can weigh up to 27,700 pounds. So the lift on that aircraft, on those four blades, is generating 27,000 pounds. So the next question is, how far can helicopters go? So the S-92 aircraft can travel 600 nautical miles with its external fuel tanks. And we have another option, which you can do internal fuel tanks to increase that range. We don't really think about aircraft in terms of how many hours they can fly. We think in terms of miles they can fly, because the time that it takes depends on airspeed, weather conditions, altitude. So no mission is going to be the same. What is the most expensive helicopter that's been built? So our most expensive helicopter was a VIP that we're actually in the process of building right now, which was $55 million. How long does it take a helicopter to stay in flight before having to refuel? Which one can stay up the longest and which one the least? So you can go 600 nautical miles before refueling in a 92. And there's no refueling in the air, like some of the military Sikorsky aircraft can do. The 92 can stay up the longest. The 76, the smaller aircraft we showed you, is the least. Have you ever flown in the Apache? I haven't. I don't know if anybody else has. Maybe Devika? No. What is the basic cost of a helicopter? So a baseline aircraft for 76 is probably going to run about 12 million. And an S-92 is probably going to run over 20 million. None of us are in finance, so we don't know exactly how much, but that's the general consensus. How many years does it take to go to school to become an engineer? So a basic engineering degree is going to be 4 years of school. And then a lot of us have master's degrees, which are normally 2 to 3 years after that. So Natasha's question was, do we use them for medical transport? And the answer is yes. And we've built many medical aircraft over the years. Normally, they're the S-76, which is the smaller aircraft that we showed you on the last slide. But we have built medical / search and rescue aircraft that are the S-92. Does anyone else want to jump in and answer questions, or you want me to keep going?
So you could probably mention the Angel One rescuing the baby.
Oh, yeah. So
in Arkansas.
Do you want to tell the story, Stephanie?
You can.
Oh. So the aircraft that we showed you, the Angel One that are in Arkansas, there was a woman who had a baby who was premature, and I think that she was roughly 20 plus weeks, maybe within 24 weeks old. And they could not transfer the baby to the NICU in an ambulance because they would be too many vibrations, and her brain wasn't formed well enough, and they were worried that that would cause aneurysms and damage damage her. So they flew her in Angel 1 to the hospital. And because the aircraft is so smooth, they knew that she would be okay in terms of vibration levels. And this was a couple of years ago, and she survived. And I think now she's like 2.5, 3 years old. So I saw one of the questions is, what's the best part of your job? And for me, the best part of my job is when we get that feedback, that real world, like, oh, this aircraft saved people today, or this happened. And we get that a lot, which is really great for us. You know, I think that if you're having a bad day, that completely makes it all worth it. Famous people. Yes, the answer is yes. We've sold to billionaires who have these aircraft on their yachts. The Queen of England has a 76 aircraft that we built her. Head of state, many countries head of state aircraft. Korea, to name one. Stephanie, anybody else you can think of right away?
RTAF. See, we think in acronyms, so you got to remind me what it means.
Right.
The one we
the
just
Royal
delivered
Thai Air Force.
Pilot, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the VH-92 we should mention.
Yeah, I saw someone ask about the presidential aircraft. So the president has flown in a Sikorsky aircraft, I think, since the 60s. And we are working right now on replacing that aging 61 aircraft with the S-92, which is behind me. And in the video, you saw the presidential aircraft in the video. So the aircraft has been configured and built, and we're working on the final stages of certification for the president. So the president hasn't flown in it yet, but I believe in the next year or two, the fleet is going to be changed over to the new aircraft. Let's see. Are helicopters rented by movie producers, or do they hire pilots through the company? So typically they're not going to hire pilots through our company. They may be ex-Sikorsky pilots that they're hiring, but normally there are subsidiary countries or companies of Sikorsky that have the rent for hire aircraft. Tours for students. Before COVID, we definitely had tours quite often, and we loved actually doing that. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to have visitors in our facility right now. So hopefully when all of this is over, we'll be able to get back to that. And we've had school groups, elementary kids, high schoolers, college kids, American Helicopter Society, all sorts of groups come through.
Tracy, can you do me a favor and unmute and unvideo Devika Mangaroo for us?
Sure, I'll see what I can do.
Thank you.
I don't know, do the other women want to talk about what your favorite thing is about working at Sikorsky?
Sure, I can talk about it. My favorite part of working at Sikorsky is seeing something on paper, on design, and from the beginning to a finished product. You know, we can design something that puts into a helicopter, and we get to see it, you know, all the way through. It's my favorite part. Anyone else?
When we used to walk into the facility, I haven't been on the facility for over a year now due to COVID. It was always entertaining when you walk in, you just never knew what was going to hit you. Never knew what the questions were going to be, never knew what, and that just made the day so entertaining because there's so many personalities on site when you visit, and you never knew what kind of questions you were going to get. And then learning the new designs is always fun. But learning that the engineers was able to put a toilet on the aircraft. There was one S-92 that I remember back in the day where we had to make, you know how on airplanes you have like the stewardess area for the flight attendant? They actually put one of those areas on a helicopter. So that was very cool too. And then it's always entertaining at how much room the VIPs get to sit in, like in the front part of the helicopter. And then they shove like 8 bodyguards in like the back 3 feet, and they're all bundled up together. And I actually got to sit in one of those seats, and I'm like, this is not spacious at all. So very cool. You want to move on to the next question? Where are we at?
Sure, let's see. What kind of training, how fast can a helicopter go? So a 92 can go 165 knots, which is almost 300 feet per second. Is that right, Cassandra? Yeah, and the 76 can go 155 knots. What kind of training does a pilot need? It's similar to an airplane pilot. So a helicopter rating is an additional rating that you have to go to school for, in addition to a fixed wing rating. So it takes more training. Do you have to be an engineer? No, you don't have to be an engineer to work here. Devika actually is an avionics lead on the floor, and she can tell you about that. We have finance people, purchasing people, paint staff, upholsterers, cabinet makers, composite shop people. We have a whole village that we have on site that builds these aircraft. And that's one of the cool things about it, is you get to mix with all different types of people, all different types of skill sets, and it makes for a fun day.
I do enjoy working on the floor, as you never know what you can run into.
Yeah, so Devika runs all of the wires that go in the aircraft for the completions. So if we have a VIP aircraft that has a huge entertainment system, TVs, DVDs, VCRs, wireless, she's running all of the wire bundles in the aircraft. And so there's a lot of times, like, I'll get called down to the floor being the structural engineer. They'll be like, there's no more room to run wiring. I need you to I need a hole in a frame or in a longeron or something so that I can fit more wires. So that's an interesting problem to run into that probably wouldn't occur to anyone when we're building VIP aircraft. Are there college or careers at Sikorsky? You don't need a college degree. Absolutely. There are plenty of jobs. There are people that work in the paint shop, people that work in the composite shop, people that work in the upholstery shop. They all have tradesman skill sets, which are equally important to the engineers. So there's a lot of people at our facility that don't necessarily have a traditional college degree.
That includes me, actually. And I love building helicopters. It actually, I would say, the most fun of all the jobs, but I am slightly biased.
Do you have any female helicopter mechanics at Sikorsky? Yes, we have female mechanics, female avionics techs, female painters, female upholsterers, female pilots. We had a female GM running our whole site for a while. There's a lot of women there, and Sikorsky, I think, is really a good company to work for because we really value diversity and inclusion. So you can come to work and be who you are, and you're accepted. Most challenging task that you worked on and solved. Anyone want to answer that one?
What was the question again? Sorry.
The most challenging task that you had to work on and solve.
Putting in a bathroom and a toilet. I would say that's the most challenging. It's not as easy as you think.
No.
Especially for structural. I know my job's
Yeah.
probably easier, running wires and putting lighting and all that stuff in there, but structure-wise, we do a lot of modifications.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It changes the weight and balance of the aircraft as well. So that requires a lot more work.
Yeah, things that you don't think about. You got to think about the toilet, you know, the mass drain, how you're going to remove the waste. You have to think about the lavatory, the sink. There's a lot to it.
For me, it was a 6-month project on crew loads. As an industrial engineer, we deal with the goal is to assign each technician their job for the day as efficiently as possible. And everybody's got their opinion. Everybody wants their say. And I believe that was like over 6 months. Devika probably remembers because I used her a lot.
That is true. You did.
And
And we still managed to not get it correctly done, but we did do an awesome job in doing it, though.
I think we did. The team won the Sikorsky Presidential Award for the utility line.
True.
Yeah, we got a big old fancy trophy in the front foyer of the building. So that was a long project. We even had outsiders come in and help us.
Actually, we did save a lot of hours also with that, and manpower.
Yeah, so we made the build more efficient, hopefully saved the company some money. It's always a win.
I think we
personally didn't get like a bonus check, but you know.
No, we did quite a really good job with that. And it's actually more organized too, to do a build from start to finish.
Because we worked with the MEs to reorganize the networks where all the jobs are housed in the right order.
I do like the 76's organization though. A little bit more.
Everybody's a critic. And what she's asking for is going to cost a lot of money. And I'm going to have to go now figure out. See, we always looking up for ideas, right? So now I got to go figure out how to get some budget for that.
Oh, you'll do it.
Oh, sure.
All right, let's ask one last question. What future technologies are being developed for helicopters? Any change in fuel, computer systems, etc.? So, gosh, Sikorsky is pushing the boundaries on this a lot. First, they're working on autonomy, which means that the aircraft doesn't need a pilot anymore, right? Mind-blowing. Is we can fly the 76 aircraft remote controlled right now. And we're working on that technology to bring it into the certified world, into the military world. And it's just a game changer. The other thing that I'm working on right now is smart structure, like a paint that you can sense changes in material properties. So the idea is you could paint this on frames and sense cracking through the life of the aircraft. So helicopters undergo severe vibration through the life of the fuselage. These aircraft are certified for 30,000 hours of flight. And, you know, they have cracking issues and the structural engineers have to go and repair those. So if we can get an idea if something's going to crack before it's going to crack, that allows us to kind of do the pre-planning that we need to fix something. So I guess that's about it. Now we're going to give you guys a quiz, a poll that you guys can fill out online for us, please. And I don't know, Matt, if you can put the slide back up with there's a survey monkey and there's also a slide. We're going to send you guys swag. I think the first 20 people to answer all the questions correctly. You'll sign up with your email address and then we'll contact you with to get your address and we'll send out some Sikorsky, some swag. There you go. And then if there's any schools online, we were thinking, ask you what school you are. If you can get right answers, please let us know because we'd love to send out some swag, some prizes to your classroom. We haven't been able to do any of our activities in the last year and so many months. So we have a lot of giveaway stuff that we're dying to give away to people. So, if you have a school and a classroom, please let us know. It's online. It's really quick. I think it's 10 questions and the answers are in the presentation that we gave you. So you can rewatch it. And I think that was the 21st of May is when we're going to close the survey. So I think that's it. We really appreciate everyone taking the time to join us today. And I know that all the women at Sikorsky, we had a wonderful time putting this together for you. It was very thrilling. We got to work together virtually, and we're excited for next year when we get to do it in person too. So thank you.
Wow, you guys, that was really, really, really cool. That is so interesting. I'm so glad that you were able to be with us today. And we thank everybody that came online and joined us to view all of this. I want to thank everybody at Sikorsky, all of our sponsors, all women in STEM. Remember, we have over 20 videos and live streams, very similar to this. We have a new one launching every week. So if you haven't already registered, go to our website, getpa.org, and we can then send you our weekly links. See you at the next GET video.